All right, it is 11:30, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. My name is Luke Huber. I'm one of the admissions counselors here. So I'm really glad to have you guys all here for Baylor Premiere, and thank you for joining our session on theater today. And so we don't have that much time, so I'm going to go ahead and just pass it off to Lisa Denman. She can introduce herself, and then she's going to tell you a little bit more about our theater program here at Baylor.
Hi, thanks for being here. And thanks, Luke, for the intro. Um, yeah, my name is Lisa Denman. I'm the undergraduate program director of the theater. I teach directing and some acting and improvisation, a little bit of everything. I'm also the advisor for most of our students. So if you have questions about specific classes, I'm the person to come to. I'll try to move quickly through this so that if you do have questions and you want to put them in the chat, we have some time at the end to answer those questions. All right, so here are the degrees that we offer. So we offer a BA in theater, a BFA in theater performance, a BFA in theater design and technology, and then we offer two master's degrees. So an MA in theater history and an MFA in theater undergraduate degrees. But the reason it's important to think about the graduate degrees is there are a lot of schools that have an MFA in acting. What that means for the undergraduate students is that a lot of those MFA students will be getting the roles because that's what they're there for. They're older, they have a little more training. That's what they're getting. Instead, what we have as a graduate degree, an MFA in directing. So those students are not getting the roles. Instead, they're directing a lot. And so it opens up more roles for students who are interested in acting and more design opportunities for students who are interested in design. We also have a concentration in musical theater. So students who are interested in that get a BFA in theater performance with a concentration in musical theater. And well, it's decided not to move. There we go. How many productions do we do each year? We do 8 main stage productions each year. We do 6 during the regular school year, and then we do 2 in the summer. In addition, we present a number of things that are open to the public, things like a cabaret or concert performances of musicals, capstone projects. We do original play readings. We get together every Friday at 3:30, the whole department, and we showcase some of those things in our workshop performances. So there's something going on all the time. We're accredited by the National Association of Schools of Theater. This is really important. You want to make sure any school that you're looking at has this kind of certification. This means that there's an outside board of review that comes in and looks at everything we're doing and sort of gives us the stamp of approval. It's a pretty rigorous process, and you have to have a lot of things in place and be doing things well in order to get that accreditation. So it's a really important thing. We do have some scholarships, but the bulk of the scholarship money will come through the university as opposed to the theater department. We do have DSD, Distinguished Scholars, scholarships for students, and those are stackable scholarships of $3,000 a year. And those are for students who attend one of our Distinguished Scholars Day. And then we also have scholarships that students will become eligible for once they've been in the department for 2 years. So our scholarships are mainly meant to help people be able to stay at Baylor rather than to get them to come to Baylor. And then this is talking about that Distinguished Scholar Award that I was just mentioning. So usually we have, it ranges depending on how many people come to the Distinguished Scholar Day. We have a number of scholarships that are available through that. So the Distinguished Scholars Day is a day where the students come in, they sit in on classes, they eat lunch with some of our majors, they can do their audition for us or their interview if they're design, and it makes them eligible for an award, a scholarship. We cap our enrollment. We're always sort of shooting between 125 and 130 as our goal for theater majors, and that's all of our theater majors, right? That's design and performance students together. So, and we see well over 1,000 auditions every year. Some of them virtual, some of them in person, but we do all of the Texas Scholarship auditions. We do all of the unified auditions in Chicago. So we're seeing a lot of auditions each year, and from that number, we're looking for about 30 to 35 freshmen each year, and again, that's including everyone. We do a study abroad. Actually, we have a couple of them. We do Baylor Theater Abroad, which we go in every other summer. We always go to London and to Stratford on this trip, but then the other places that we go will change yearly. So we're going this summer. Yay. Finally, we get to go back and do some to France and Amsterdam and Copenhagen, and then London and Stratford. So we're very excited about that. But we also do more sporadic trips to Prague, which is a great trip for our designers because there's something called the Prague Quadrennial that happens every 4 years, and it's an international design festival. So our design faculty take students to that. And then we do, every few years, we do a summer program in India. We partner with Christ University in Bangalore, and our students go over and they have scene partners who are from Christ University, and they present scenes in a performance. They take classes alongside those students and learn like Bollywood dance and things like that. And they do a presentation of that at the end. And then the end of the trip is spent going around the rest of India, seeing things like the Taj Mahal, but other, just beautiful scenery and beautiful sights throughout India as well. And you can get college credit for the Baylor Theater Abroad program. So students will take a couple of classes, usually some of them just will take one, depending on what they need. But you get credit for the trip and for the plays that you're reading and studying along the way and seeing. Yeah, we love our students. They're incredible. These pictures, the biggest picture, the one with the most people in it, is actually a shot from our Olympics. The students get together and they spar with each other. They do things like tug of war and various other games, and each class dresses in a different color, and they fight it out to see who's the best class, right? So a lot of these pictures, or some of these pictures, are taken at banquet. So everybody dresses up really well and looks so great at banquet, so they all take pictures there. But some of them are from other things that happen throughout the year. Yeah, so we do have a showcase in your senior year where we take students to New York. Obviously, that sort of went away for a couple of years because of COVID, but during those years we did it virtually. But this year in March, just last month, we went up to New York and took a group to do a senior showcase there. They met with industry professionals and had a great time, and got to do their showcase in front of lots and lots of agents and casting directors, and then also did workshops with a lot of those people as well while we were there. So just a really terrific thing. But we also send students to SAUDA, which is more of a Texas regional showcase. And then we also bring in people from New York, LA, Chicago to work with our students while they're here. So it's not all about that last semester. You'll be getting to work with some of these people throughout the time that you're at Baylor. These are just some of the shows, right, that people who've graduated from Baylor went on to do. So once the musical Elizabeth Davis, who was nominated for a Tony, was in that. She's one of our alums. Hand to God was written by Robert Askins, who was one of our alums. And then all of the rest of these have alums who were in them or working on them. These are some movies that we had people who were in or were working on or wrote for. And then some TV shows that we have people in. Chicago Fire, Kara Kilmer, the blonde in that picture, is an alum. Downward Dog, and Good Girls, actually. Yeah, so we have a lot of students who are out there working in all areas of theater and film. And then here are some productions shots over the last few seasons. So This Random World is one, Mr. Burns, which was a great fun to do. These are shots from Godspell. Ice Glen, which was a lovely little show. Shots from Matilda. Mnemonic, which is a very contemporary show, and really challenging, but lovely. The Liar, which is all done in verse, which was great fun for the students to get to work on. Pictures from Rhinoceros. Yerma, which had a running river on stage, which was fun. And Antigone. Antigone was one of our green shows. So we do what we call gold shows and green shows. Gold shows are shows that have a really big footprint. So they may have a big cast, but not always. What it means, though, is that we're going to give them a big budget and all the designers that they need, and it's going to have a big footprint on the department. But then we also do some smaller shows, and Antigone was a smaller show where the design elements were going to be much smaller, and basically to emulate like smaller theaters that our students will be working in, right? You don't always go straight from college to Broadway. So we want to make sure that our students get some experience working in smaller theaters that are more akin to some of the regional theaters that they might be working in right out of college. So we always try to do a mix of both these big shows and the small shows. Okay, so I think there are some questions in the chat. So one of them is there a theater minor? And that there is a theater minor, but it is only in design. So it is a design and technology minor, and it's not an acting minor. And then the next one is, I'm interested in the theater performance with musical theater concentration. How doable is this alongside another major? Yeah, it's not easy to do the BFA with another major. In fact, to do a BFA, you would have to do like a secondary major in something else. So if you're doing a secondary major, it's possible, but it is tough. I will tell you that what helps that a lot is if you bring in classes from high school, so like dual credit classes or AP classes, and you get some credit that helps you, be able to do that in 4 years. If a student is majoring in something else, would there be any way they could participate in these things? You can participate behind the scenes, but the auditions for the plays are strictly for theater majors. So it's not possible to audition and be in the shows unless you are a theater major, but you can certainly do things like, help out in one of the shops or be ushers at the shows. There are ways to do that. Do the students participate in writing the scripts or directing the shows? They do not participate in writing or directing any of the main stage productions, but we have second seasons. So students take playwriting classes. They do, when they're writing plays, we often will put either a staged reading of those together, or we will do a production of them if they're small enough and it fits into the timeline of the theater. Direct for our workshop productions, but not for our main stage. What skills are you looking for in a freshman audition? I always tell people to pick, when you're looking at monologues, pick monologues that are close to you. Don't pick something that's, much older than you or much younger than you. And pick something that allows you to be really honest and to make a connection with the people who are in the room. So if you pick something that's sort of at the climactic moment of a tragic story, it's really hard to do that and do that well in 1 minute, right? When you're doing the whole play, you have a whole play to build up to that 1 minute. So pick something that's challenging, but maybe doesn't mean that you have to, in 1 minute work yourself up into crying or hysteria or, something like that. Much better to choose something that that allows you to be honest, right? That allows you to just to tell a story and tell it honestly and make a connection with the people in the room. What kind of things would y'all expect to see in design and technology portfolios? Yeah, it really runs the gamut. So, there are some high schools that allow students to do a lot of things in design and technology. They have a lot of shows and students are getting to do a lot of things, but there are others where they don't. Maybe they don't do very many shows at the high school, or they're just not allowed to do much in the way of design. So we tell people to just bring things you're proud of, right? If you stage managed a show, show us the paperwork that you created when you did that. If you designed your own prom dress, right? Show us that. If you draw in your spare time, show us that. So it doesn't always have to just be related to a production. But if you worked on a production and maybe you didn't get to design it, but you worked on a specific piece on stage, take a picture of that, right? And bring that and talk through the process of building that or painting it, whatever it is that you do and do well. So it really just sort of runs the gamut. We just want to see that you're creative. And to be able to see any of the skills that you've been able to put into practice. What do you value most when accepting a student into the program? We are a very collaborative program. We love working together. We love being in the room together and with ideas sort of flowing and people, tossing out an idea and us all try it. So we're really interested in people who are kind and good to work with, as well as skilled. So we're not interested in anybody who's kind of a diva. We want everybody to pitch in, and work as an ensemble. And then the last one is, do you have to audition to get into this major? Yes, you do. So it is an audition only major. It has two components. It has the pre-screening, and the pre-screening you actually send in with your application to Baylor. So that consists of either two monologues or a monologue and a song if you're in the performance area, but it would be uploading your portfolio materials if you're in the design area. And then after your pre-screen has been submitted, you'll be contacted to set up an interview or audition on campus or virtual if that's, works best for you. And then from there, you'll be told, about your status with the department.
Awesome. We have a few more minutes left, but I had one question as well. What's
Okay.
your favorite Baylor theater memory over the past few years?
Wow. Yeah, I've been yeah, I guess I love being in rehearsal. So it's almost always the last thing I directed, right? So the last thing I directed was a play called Airness, which was about air guitar championships. So it was so much fun to get to work on it, and it was kind of a small cast, so that's really fun. But right now I'm in the process of working on the next thing I'm going to direct, which is we're going to get to do Once, the musical. And so very excited about that whole process. Really looking forward to that. I do see another question. Would it be possible for a student to give an idea for a production? Yeah, our students constantly are telling us what they think we should direct next. So they're always throwing things around and saying, "Hey, this is what we should do next year." Very often it is quite self-serving. They think they would be great in that production, so that's why they're pitching it. And we always try to have a really diverse season that will allow a lot of different people to rise. So, but yeah, we definitely listen to people as they give us ideas for that. Do you offer any summer programs for high school students? Yes, we host TALS Camp, TAL' camp at Baylor. It's a 2-week overnight program. So you actually stay in the dorms, and you are in a production. So you take classes the first half of the day, and then you're in rehearsal for the next half of the day. And in that 2 weeks, you will put together a production and perform it at the end. So it's pretty intense, but students have a great time with it. And it will be June 26th is the opening date of that. But it's open for registration. It just opened yesterday, I think, for registration. How different do you think the Baylor productions are from typical high school performance? I'm not sure there is a typical high school performance, so it's hard to judge against that. I mean, there are high schools out there that are doing amazing work and, have gigantic budgets and a terrific fine arts complex. I mean, I think, like with anything, the training, I think, sets it apart, right? These are students who are focusing in and taking acting classes every semester, and really working hard to get better. And so, we have designers who are at the top of their game. So I do think that, very often the designs set it apart, but also our students, right? They're multi-talented, and yeah, they just get better and better every year. So I think it's probably that that sets it apart from a high school performance.
Awesome. I think we are just about out of time. Thank you so much for sharing a lot more about the theater department, and thank you all for attending with us today. You guys can now head on to your next session, and I hope you guys have an awesome time with the rest of Baylor Premiere. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.